Hi everyone, and welcome back to Knot So Kreativ. Today I'm going to show you how to sew this beautiful zipped pouch, perfect for storing your knitting needles or crochet hooks. A while ago I shared a tutorial on how to sew a foldable crochet hook case, and I received a comment from this person asking if I knew a zip version. That got me thinking, and of course I decided to make one. So today, I've got your back. This project features a welt pocket, which is optional of course, so if you find it a bit too tricky, you can simply skip it, don't worry. It also includes dividers for organizing different needle sizes or hook sizes, and it works great for both knitting and crochet. The final measurement of this case are 19 centimeters wide by 15 centimeters tall. But you can easily adjust the size depending on your tools. Alright, with that said, let's get started. First, let's go through the materials you will need for this project. You're going to need the outer fabric, the pocket panels, the pieces for the dividers, for the needles and crochet hooks, the lining, some interfacing, 2 zippers. You're also going to need a ribbon and 1 piece of batting. Once you have everything ready, we can start preparing the pieces. First, take the lining piece. Using a round object, mark the corners on one side of the fabric with a pencil. Then, fold the lining in half widthwise and cut through both layers following those curved lines. This will give the case smooth, rounded edges. Next, while it's still folded in half, cut a small notch on both sides of the panel to mark the center. These notches will help us align everything perfectly later when we attach the zipper. Repeat the same process with the outer fabric panel so both pieces have matching rounded corners and center notches. It's a small step, but it really helps everything stays symmetrical once we start assembling the zipper. Alright, our panels are ready. Now let's move on to the lining, where we'll add some structure and start preparing the dividers. To give this project a bit of softness and structure, I'll be using some batting. This will add a nice padded feel to the case. I'm going to sew the batting directly to the lining, starting by marking a 45 guideline on one corner of the lining, about 1 centimeter away from the edge. This will be the line I use to start stitching. Then I'll continue sewing parallel lines spaced about 1 centimeter apart, or as close as I like. If you prefer, you can sew in both directions to create a diamond stitch effect. It's completely up to you. And if your batting is a bit thicker, sewing in 2 directions will also help it stay in place better. Place the batting on top of the wrong side of the lining, pin in place, and take it to the sewing machine. Sew along the marked line, making sure the batting stays smooth underneath. Next, take the 2 divider pieces. Just for reference, this will hold your needles or crochet hooks. So fold each piece right sides together and sew along all edges, leaving a 4 centimeter gap along the bottom for turning later, okay? Trim the corners, then turn each piece right side out. Use a point turner or maybe some scissors to push the corners neatly and press the seams flat. Press the seam allowance of the opening to the inside as well. Now, take your ribbon and cut 2 strips, each about 20 centimeters long. Place 1 strip along the folded edge of each divider. That's the edge opposite to the opening gap. Fold the ribbon ends inward so they're hidden, and also sew along the top and bottom of the ribbon to secure it in place. Now let's mark the divisions for the needles or hooks. You can make them as wide or as narrow as you prefer. It depends on your tools. In my case, for the first divider, I'll start from the left and mark 4 pockets of 1.5 centimeters, 4 pockets of 2 centimeters, and the last one will end up around 1.5 centimeters or so. For the second divider, I'll make the pockets a bit larger, since I plan to store thicker knitting needles. So from left to right, I will go with 3 pockets of 2 centimeters, 2 pockets of 2.5 centimeters, and then I'll divide the remaining space in half, whatever. Again, you can totally customize this based on your needles. Now, take the lining piece and mark a line 1 centimeter away from each side of the center. The center line runs through the notches we cut earlier. Place each divider along those lines with the open edges facing the center. Make sure both dividers sit about 2 centimeters away from the side edges of the lining. Pin them in place, sew along the sides and bottom edges of each divider to attach them to the lining. Then, top stitch the individual pocket divisions from bottom to top. Remember to back stitch at the beginning and end of each line for durability. It's already starting to look like a real organizer, right? And that's it, your interior section is ready. Now let's prepare the outside pocket. Start by fusing the interfacing to the wrong side of one of the pocket panels. This will help stabilize the fabric and make your welt pocket look crisp and professional. Next, let's draw our guidelines for the pocket opening. On the pocket panel, mark a line 1.5 centimeters away from the 3 of the edges. Then, close the rectangle by marking another line 2 centimeters down from the top. This rectangle will be your welt pocket opening. Now, take your outer fabric panel, the main piece, and with the right side facing up, place the pocket panel on top, right sides together. Position it 1 centimeter away from the center line, the one marked by the notches. Pin it in place and sew along the top and bottom lines of the rectangle you just marked. Next, draw 2 vertical lines 1 centimeter away from each short side of the rectangle. Then, draw a horizontal line through the center of the rectangle, connecting both ends. At the intersections, draw 2 small diagonal lines to form tiny triangles. This will help create clean corners when we turn the pocket. Using a rotary cutter or small scissors, cut along that central line, starting in the middle of course, then carefully cut along the diagonal lines towards the corners. Try to get as close as possible to the stitches, but be careful not to cut through them. Now, turn the pocket panel through the opening to the back of the outer fabric. Use your fingers to push the seam allowance neatly to the inside. It might be a bit difficult depending on your interfacing, like mine, but you can try to do your best with your fingers and then press it flat with your iron. Take your time here. The sharper and flatter those edges are, the better your pocket will look. Now, let's attach the zipper to the pocket opening. With the outer panel facing right side up, place the zipper underneath the opening so that the teeth are visible through the center. Pin or clip in place and sew around the entire opening close to the edge. Take it slowly around the corners. It helps to use a zipper foot for more control. Once that's done, place the second pocket panel on top of the first one, right sides together. Sew around all the sides of the pocket with a 1 cm seam allowance, making sure not to catch the outer fabric. Trim the pocket seam allowance in half to reduce bulk. Now it's time to attach the main zipper, the one that goes around all the case. Start by opening the zipper completely. With the outer fabric facing right side up, begin clipping the zipper around the entire edge, starting from one of the center notches. Work your way around carefully, following the curved corners. If your zipper feels a bit stiff, you can make small diagonal cuts along the edge of the zipper tape. That helps it bend more easily around the curves. Once everything is clipped in place, sew around the edge using a 1/2 cm seam allowance. Start and end your stitching 1.5 to 2 cm before reaching the center notches. And remember to backstitch at both ends, okay? Go slowly around the corners. Switching to a smaller presser foot can also help here. Once the zipper is attached, place the lining on top, right sides facing each other. Align the center notches, making sure the zipper teeth stay tucked inside between the two layers. Pin or clip all around the edge, then sew again, but with a 1 cm seam allowance. This time sew all the way up to the center notches, but leave a gap of about 8 to 10 centimeters along one side, preferably the side without the outer pocket. That's where we'll turn the case right side out. Now, carefully turn everything right side out through the opening. Use your hands to push out all the corners and smooth out the edges. If needed, give it a gentle press with your iron to help set the shape, okay? There's just one last step, closing the gaps and finishing the zipper ends. To close the small gaps at the center, where the zipper starts and ends, you will have to hand sew it. There's no other way, okay? Just grab a needle and a matching thread and just to start doing it. I like to pass the needle from the lining side to the outer fabric, right through the zipper tape, trying to hide the stitches as much as possible. I'm not an expert when I have to hand sew something, but what I like to do is just pass the needle from the lining side to the outer fabric, right through the zipper tape, trying to hide as best as I can the stitches. And that's it. Just make sure not to sew over the zipper teeth. That could make it hard to open and close it later, okay? Finally, just close the turning gap on the side. You can either stitch it closed by machine, which will be slightly visible on the outside, or close by hand using a lather stitch for a clean, invisible finish, okay? To make a lather stitch, just pass the needle alternately through each folded edge, creating a small horizontal stitches, like rungs of a ladder. Then pull the thread gently to close the gap. And that's it. The zipper and all the edges are neatly finished. We're ready to turn this into a complete functional case. Look how cute it turned out. The pocket is spacious enough to hold your cords, stitch markers, and all those small accessories you want to keep close to your projects. And of course, the dividers make it easy to keep all your knitting needles or maybe crochet hooks in one place, ready to use whenever you need them. I love how practical this design is. The zipper keeps everything secure and the inner structure makes it feel like a store-bought case, but completely personalized to your taste. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, or tell me what you think about this project. Is there something you would add or modify? Would you try sewing the zipped version yourself? And if you do, please share how it went. I'd love to see your version. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might enjoy making their own crochet or knitting case. Thank you so much for watching. Happy sewing, and I'll see you in the next one.